Gurren Lagann, a manly tale about becoming a man. Motifs and theming all to do with being a man. A grand tale about manliness that will pierce the manly vault of— oh god! Hang on, my eyes need to wash and I can't find my bleach. But never fear, because now there's Kill la Kill, a manly new series about— royalty? Gurren Lagann vs. Kill la Kill. Where to start with this one? Okay, I'm not gonna lie, Gurren Lagann is my favorite series of all time. Critically speaking, I don't think it's the best anime, but it's my personal favorite. And knowing that, I came to the stunning revelation that I am too biased to do this video, and so I promised myself I wouldn't make it. Whoops. Let me start with a little story. For the record, I highly doubt many people will think this story is fair on Kill la Kill, but my opinion does change, so try to wait until the end before you decide you want to dress up my video in Sith cosplay. As a big fan of Gurren Lagann, I was eagerly awaiting its successor, but when it finally came to the first episode of Kill la Kill, I was met with probably one of the most disappointing first episodes I've seen, both because of the unfulfilling hype and the dull execution. It was just crazy and stupid. Where was the depth? Where was the hook? It was just meh. The only thing I can vouch for is our main character Ryoko, who has an awesome introduction as a very strong character. Seriously, biting a lemon in half in the first 5 seconds of screen time is a pretty badass way to introduce a character. But as Kill la Kill went on, it only reinforced my belief that Kill la Kill was just a shallow, superficial copy of Gurren Lagann. Gurren Lagann was so much more than people prattling around and occasionally shouting at each other. Gurren Lagann had morals and principles behind all its shouting. Gurren Lagann wasn't just, okay guys, there's some good guys and some bad guys, make them fight and make it stupidly over the top. Because underneath the superficial good guy, bad guy setup was etched a much more deeper material about what it means to be a man, principles and morals, and not to mention some fucking godly character development. It just felt like Kill la Kill copied Gurren Lagann's superficial plot, thinking that was what made it good, completely missing the actual depth. But hey, I mean, Kill la Kill has a great soundtrack. Just wish it would stop bossing me around. I'll do what I want! There's only one moment where Kill la Kill hit the depth of Gurren Lagann I was looking for, and that was in episode 3, where Ryoko is all like,
finally get it now! I need to get naked! I didn't know I was doing it, but I was rejecting you out of embarrassment!
And then she proceeds to fight this epic fight because of that character development, very similar to Simone's rebirth in Gurren Lagann, which is awesome. Gotta say though, Kill la Kill scene has to be by far the dumbest excuse for fan service I've ever seen. I mean, everyone knows that they just wanted an excuse to stick fan service in to bring in more of an audience, but hell, that's a fucking godly excuse if I've ever seen one. Mainly because it's an excuse that actually improves the story. I don't care what you say about fan service, you cannot deny that that was an impressive move. Unfortunately, that was it. We never see anything like that scene again, and that really disappointed me because that was the kind of scene that made Gurren Lagann. Now, if you keep up with Podtaku, which I don't, okay, scratch that. If you watch the Kill la Kill episode 1 episode of Podtaku, you'll recall someone responding to Jimmy saying that episode 1 of Gurren Lagann wasn't that good anyway. The rest of the group even unanimously agree that Kill la Kill's first episode is the exact same. That made me angry. Gurren Lagann is not the same as Kill la Kill. No way! Anyway, I started watching Gurren Lagann over again, as I do with every anime I cover in a video, and oh my god, they're the exact fucking same! This show is not how I remember it. All that deep stuff about morals and whatnot I talked about before actually shows up in Gurren Lagann super rarely. In fact, the thing that made episode 3 of Kill la Kill great only comes into play like twice in the first half of Gurren Lagann. And hell, one of those two executions isn't really that good anyway. This is probably pretty obvious by this point, but my god, was I biased to Gurren Lagann or what? The things that I loved in Gurren Lagann weren't even in Gurren Lagann! Just like in the early episodes of Kill la Kill, Gurren Lagann prats around with things that aren't really all that interesting or significant. I mean, let's see, what have these two got in terms of, let's say, random fights of little importance? Kill la Kill, what have you got? Fights against random clubs and giant school events that, in all honesty, didn't need to happen? Done and done. Gurren Lagann? Random ass gunman fights with no real interest? Done, done, and done. Lack of developments in both plot and characters in some episodes? Deal done, and sweet memories of my childhood done. Fanny. As I say, Gurren Lagann is my favourite anime, and despite this, it still is. I adore Gurren Lagann because it hit me on a much more personal level. I loved the first episode because of all that stuff about being a man and believing in the you that believes in me stuff. It all struck an immediate chord with me. It's used later for motifs, but I loved it even before it became those amazing motifs. This is why, even though some of the episodes weren't all that great, I still found much more of an interest than the average person did. Didn't do the same with Kill la Kill, however, because there was no personal hook for me. So I hope people get what I mean with my criticism so far. Just to clarify, these shows can have their amazing episodes, but the first half of both of these shows at least are littered with episodes with a fairly big lack in good character development or plot. A bunch of episodes fail to do anything great with the characters, and a lot of the time they'll mess around with useless side plots and situations that quite frankly didn't need to exist. They both also tend to introduce characters that no one's used to and fill in development and backstory that's nowhere near as effective as it would have been to develop characters we've already become used to and started to love. Probably the only exception to this is Uzu, who's actually developed after a bit of time, as well as having a number of redeeming features to start with to get us better interest in his character. But yeah, everything else seems to be like, in this episode, Ryoko will fight with a tennis club in a never-before-seen battle of epic proportions. And I'm all like, ah yeah, let me go grab a drink for this awesomeness. Oh wait, my bleach is still missing! So at this point they look even, and Gurren Lagann isn't some godly figure of anime. Glad we got that sorted. However, here's a clincher. In terms of character and plot, Gurren Lagann has slightly more going for it. For instance, we have the constant development of Simon as he overcomes his fears and becomes a man, developing relationships between characters, i.e. Yoko's respect for Simone and her relationship with Kamina. We have the big-ass plot twist of Kamina's death. We have Simone's journey out of depression, near being a princess, the 1,000,008th prophecy, and to top it all off, we also have some super strong motifs, like the drill and the line, who the hell do you think I am, and so on. On Kill la Kill's side, we have the developing friendship of Mako and Ryoko. We also have Ryoko and Satsuki's developing relationship, as well as Ryoko and Senketsu. And unless I'm forgetting something, that's about it. As for things aside from character and plot that Kill la Kill has going for it, I guess you could talk about the over-the-top attitude, which is kinda tenfold over Gurren Lagann. However, being over the top doesn't make it good. It's more like, well, that's mildly amusing and novel, but I don't think it counts for all that much. And I suppose I could talk about the comedy, however, I rarely found anything funny in Kill la Kill. Honestly, I found the humor obtrusive and dumb. Why does that sound so familiar? So yeah, I guess Gurren Lagann is the— oh wait! I've only been talking about the first half of Kill la Kill so far. Next time, I'll be comparing the second half of both of these shows. So get ready people, this is gonna be a whole different board game, because when Kill la Kill hits episode 18, everything changes. Ciao!